Self-care has been sold to us as bubble baths and face masks. Buy this product, light this candle, treat yourself. And I'm not here to tell you those things don't matter, because they do. Self-soothing is real and valid and necessary. But self-care is more than just the soothing part. If you're only doing the things that make you feel good in the moment, but avoiding the hard stuff, the boundaries, the difficult conversations, the uncomfortable choices, you're only doing half of self-care. And the soothing stops working when your life is out of alignment. Welcome back to A Lot to Grow Through. I'm Artist. This is where we grow through it, not just go through it. And today we're talking about self-care, what it actually is, why it's been commodified, and what it really takes to care for yourself in a sustainable way. The truth is, real self-care is a balance. It's the soothing practices that help you regulate and hard choices that protect your well-being. You need both. You need the gaming session that helps you decompress, and you need the boundary that protects your energy. You need the comfort show that soothes your nervous system, and you need the difficult conversations that clear the air. You need the retail therapy that makes you feel good, and you need to say no to things that drain you. It's not either or, it's both and. And when you only do one side, when you only soothe without addressing the deeper issues, or when you only do the hard stuff without giving yourself moments of ease, you burn out. Self-care is about balance and tending to yourself fully, your body, your mind, your energy, your boundaries, your needs. So let's get into it. Before we go further, I need to clear something up because there's this narrative out there that separates self-care from self-soothing as if one is real and the other isn't. And I think that's wrong. Let me explain the difference and then tell you why both matter. Self-soothing, activities that help you regulate your nervous system, feel good in your body, and create moments of ease or pleasure. Examples are taking a bath or shower with products you love, watching a comfort show or movie, gaming, skincare routine, shopping for things that make you feel good, eating food you enjoy, getting a massage, doing something creative just for fun. Hard self-care, actions that protect your long-term well-being, even when they're uncomfortable in the moment. Examples are setting boundaries, having difficult conversations, saying no to things you don't have capacity for, leaving harmful situations or relationships, going to bed at a reasonable time, even when you want to stay up, eating regularly, even when you're stressed, and seeking support when you need it. Here's what the typical narrative says. Self-soothing is superficial. Real self-care is hard. And I'm telling you, that's incomplete. Self-soothing is self-care. If you're tending to yourself, your temple, your mental health, if you're doing those things that help you feel good in your body and regulate your nervous system, that's caring for yourself. That counts. The problem isn't self-soothing. The problem is when self-soothing is the only thing you're doing. Because if your life is full of situations that are harming you, relationships that drain you, jobs that exploit you, boundaries that don't exist, no amount of bubble baths or retail therapy is going to fix that. You can soothe yourself through a hard day, but you can't soothe yourself out of a fundamentally misaligned life. That's where the hard self-care comes in. The hard stuff creates the conditions for soothing stuff to actually work. When you set boundaries, you protect your energy so you actually have energy to enjoy things. When you have difficult conversations, you clear the air so resentment doesn't build. When you say no to things that drain you, you create space for things that restore you. And when you do the hard stuff, the soothing stuff helps you recover and regulate so you can keep doing the hard stuff. They work together, they're not in competition. You need the anime that feeds your inner child. You need the skincare routine that makes you feel cared for. You need the gaming session that helps you decompress. And you need the boundaries. You need the no's. You need the hard conversations. Self-care is the balance of both. If you've been feeling guilty about your self-soothing practices, like gaming or watching shows or shopping, I need you to stop. Those things matter and they're valid. They help you regulate, but ask yourself, are you also doing the hard stuff? Or are you soothing your way around the problems that need to be addressed? Let me tell you about a time when I realized that my soothing practices alone weren't enough. I was doing all the things that felt good. Gaming, watching my comfort shows, retail therapy, taking care of my skin. And those things genuinely helped. They gave me moments of ease. They helped me regulate. But I was still struggling. I was still exhausted, still resentful, still feeling like I was running on empty. And I couldn't figure out why, because I was doing self-care, right? I was taking time for myself. I was doing things I enjoyed. But here's what I wasn't doing. I wasn't setting boundaries. I wasn't saying no. I wasn't having the hard conversations I needed to have. I was soothing myself through situations that were fundamentally unstable. Someone would cross a boundary, and instead of addressing it, I'd go shopping or play games to feel better. Someone would ask me to do something I didn't have capacity for, and instead of saying no, I'd say yes and then watch anime to decompress from the resentment. I was using self-soothing as a way to avoid the harder self-care, and it wasn't working because the problems didn't go away, they just kept building. That's when I realized soothing myself is important, but it can't be the only thing. I needed to start doing the uncomfortable stuff too, the boundaries, the no's, the conversations. And when I started doing both, when I started pairing my soothing practices with the hard self-care, everything shifted. Now when I come home and game for a few hours, it's restorative because I'm not using it to avoid dealing with something. I'm using it to genuinely decompress. When I do my skincare routine or take a long shower with lavender oil or body scrub, it feels nourishing because I'm not trying to soothe away resentment. I'm actually caring for myself and a life that's more aligned. When I watch my comfort anime or revisit my favorite movies, it feeds my inner child in a real way because I'm not numbing out, I'm regulating. The soothing practices work better when you're also doing the hard stuff. And the hard stuff is more sustainable when you have soothing practices to help you recover. It's a balance, and I needed both. So if you're someone who's great at soothing but avoiding the hard stuff, this is your sign. You don't have to give up what feels good, but you do need to start addressing what's not working. So what does real sustainable self-care actually look like? It's both the soothing and the hard. It's both the immediate regulation and the long-term alignment. Let me break it down. Self-care that soothes and regulates. These are the things that help your nervous system calm down, that give you moments of pleasure or ease, and that help you feel good in your body. Here are my actual practices. Gaming helps me decompress, gives my mind something engaging that's not work or heavy. Watching anime, it feeds my inner child, gives me stories and escapism that feels healing. Comfort shows and or movies, I have specific ones I revisit for the feeling they give me for regulation. Shower pampering, adding lavender oil to soothe during a body scrub, applying body oil. It's a full sensory experience. Skincare routine, taking care of my skin feels like tending to my temple. And retail therapy. Fashion centers me because I love it so much. It's creative expression and self-care combined. Now, these aren't frivolous and they're not superficial self-care. They help me regulate my nervous system. They give me moments of joy. They remind my body that it's safe to feel good. They feed parts of me that need feeding. And honestly, after doing hard emotional work, after setting a difficult boundary, after having a tough conversation, I need these practices. They help me recover. They help me stay resourced. Self-care that protects and aligns. These are the things that are uncomfortable in the moment, but protect your well-being long-term. And here are my actual practices. Setting boundaries to protect my time and energy. Having difficult conversations instead of letting resentment build. Saying no to things I don't have capacity for, even when it disappoints people. Ending relationships or creating distance when boundaries aren't respected. Prioritizing sleep, even when I want to stay up. And making myself unavailable during certain hours, mornings and late nights. Now, these matter because soothing myself through a boundary violation doesn't actually solve the problem. It just helps me tolerate it longer. And tolerating harm isn't self-care, it's self-abandonment. Real self-care means addressing the thing, setting the boundary, having the conversation, and making the hard choice. Even when it's uncomfortable, even when people are disappointed, and even when it would be easier to just soothe myself and keep going. Here's what sustainable self-care looks like for me. When I'm dysregulated or stressed, I use soothing practices. I game. I watch my comfort show. I take a long shower with all my favorite products. I let myself regulate. When something in my life is misaligned, I address it. I set the boundary. I have the conversation. I make the hard choice, even if it's uncomfortable. After doing hard self-care, I lean into soothing practices to recover. I don't just immediately move to the next hard thing. I give myself time to regulate and restore. When life is aligned, I maintain both. I keep the boundaries. I keep saying no to what doesn't work. And I enjoy my soothing practices without guilt because I'm not using them to avoid problems. Again, it's not either or, it's both and. You need the things that feel good. You need the things that are good for you. You need the regulation. You need the alignment. You need to tend to your body, your nervous system, your inner child, and you need to protect your energy, your boundaries, your peace. That's self-care, the full picture. I know some of you are thinking, but I don't have time for both. And I hear you. But the thing is, when you do the hard self-care, when you set the boundaries, when you say no, you actually create time and energy for soothing stuff. They support each other. Now, here's something critical that often gets left out of self-care conversations. We live in a culture that individualizes problems that are systematic. You're told, just practice self-care, do yoga, journal, treat yourself. But what if you're working multiple jobs just to survive? What if you don't have health insurance to access therapy or medical care? What if your environment is actively harmful and you don't have resources to leave? What if the systems you're in are designed to exploit, exhaust, or marginalize you? Individual self-care matters, but it can't fix systematic problems. You can't self-soothe your way out of poverty. You can't set a boundary that fixes oppression. You can't bubble bath away lack of access to healthcare. So yes, do what you can on an individual level. Set boundaries where you can, rest when possible, find moments of regulation and soothing, seek support when it's available, and protect your energy as much as your circumstances allow. But also recognize some of your struggle isn't personal failure, it's systematic failure. The exhaustion you feel isn't because you're not doing enough self-care, it's because the systems you're in demand too much and provide too little. The stress you carry isn't because you're not resilient enough, it's because you're navigating systems that were never designed to support your well-being. And real, lasting change requires more than individual action. It requires collective organizing, policy change, systematic reform, redistributing resources and power. So self-care is both personal and political. It's taking care of yourself within the systems you're in, doing what you can with what you have, and it's working individually and collectively to change those systems so that care is accessible to everyone, so that people aren't so exhausted that they need to constantly self-soothe just to survive, so that boundaries are respected, not punished, so that rest is right, not a luxury, so that healthcare, housing, and basic needs are guaranteed. Individual self-care is necessary, but it's not sufficient. We need both. The personal practices that sustain us and the collective action that transform the conditions we're all living in. I'm saying this because I don't want anyone listening to think that if you're struggling, it's just because you're not doing self-care right. Sometimes the struggle is the system, and that's not on you to fix alone. Okay, so how do you actually make self-care sustainable? Because most people start strong and then it falls apart. Here's what actually works. 1, make it non-negotiable. Self-care isn't something you do when you have time. It's something you protect time for. For me, that looks like my mornings and late nights are unavailable. That's my time. If someone needs my attention and I don't have a lot of time, I set a hard time limit up front. I don't skip my shower routine or self-care even when I'm busy. I make time to game or watch my shows because that helps me regulate. Treat your self-care like an appointment. Don't cancel on yourself. 2, Start small and specific. Don't try to overhaul your entire life. Pick one or two practices that actually matter to you. Now, what do you think you should do? What actually feels good or necessary for you? For me, it started with protecting my mornings, making my shower a ritual instead of just functional, giving myself permission to gain without guilt. Then I added setting boundaries around my availability, saying no more often, having hard conversations instead of avoiding them. Small, specific changes you can actually maintain. Beat big, ambitious plans you abandon. 3. Build systems, not willpower. Don't rely on motivation or discipline. Create systems that support your self-care automatically. Examples are: set your phone to do not disturb during your protected hours. Have your soothing products and activities easily accessible. Batch your hard self-care. Make the self-care easier than not doing it. 4. Mix soothing and hard. Don't just do one or the other. If you only soothe, you'll avoid addressing what needs to change. If you only do hard self-care, you'll burn out. So pair them. Set a hard boundary, then do something soothing to recover. Have a difficult conversation, then watch your comfort show. Say no to something draining, then use that time for something that restores you. The soothing helps you recover from the hard stuff. The hard stuff makes the soothing more effective. 5. Adjust as needed. What works now might not work later, and that's okay. Your self-care needs will change based on what season of life you're in, what stressors you're facing, what your capacity is, and what feels good to you. Self-care isn't rigid, it adapts. For me, some weeks I need more soothing. Some weeks I need to focus on the hard stuff, and some weeks I need both equally. Listen to what you actually need, not what you think self-care should look like. Number 6, release the guilt. If you feel guilty for taking time for yourself, for doing things that feel good, for prioritizing your needs, that guilt is learned. Someone taught you that your needs don't matter as much as other people's. Someone taught you that rest is lazy or that pleasure is selfish. And that's not true. You can't give from empty. You can't show up well for others when you're depleted. Self-care isn't selfish. It's how you sustain your ability to care for yourself and others. When you're resourced, you have more patience, you're less reactive, you give more generously, you show up better in relationships, you make clearer decisions. And when you're depleted, everything feels harder. You're more irritable. You give out of obligation or guilt. You're not fully present, and you make decisions from exhaustion. Self-care is putting on your own oxygen mask first, not because other people don't matter, but because you can't help anyone if you pass out. So if you're feeling guilty right now about prioritizing yourself, I need you to ask, well, who benefits from my depletion? Who benefits from me never resting, never setting boundaries, never doing what I need? Because it's not you, and it's not the people who genuinely care about you. So let's bring this home. Self-care isn't just bubble baths and face masks, but it's also not only the hard stuff. Real self-care is both. It's the gaming sessions that help you decompress. It's the boundaries that protect your energy. It's the comfort show that soothes your nervous system. It's the difficult conversation that clears the air. It's the retail therapy that makes you feel good. It's saying no to what drains you. It's tending to your body with self-care and showers that feel like rituals. It's tending to your relationships by being honest even when it's hard. It's soothing and alignment, regulation and protection, ease and boundaries. You need both, not either or, both. The soothing practices help you regulate so you can do the hard stuff. The hard stuff creates the conditions for the soothing to actually work. They support each other. They create balance. And when you do both, when you honor your need for pleasure and your need for boundaries, your need for ease and your need for alignment, that's when self-care becomes sustainable. That's when it stops being something you force yourself to do and start being how you live. You're allowed to do things that feels good, and you're allowed to protect yourself from things that feel bad. Both matter and both are self-care. So stop choosing between them. Do both and create the balance. Tend to yourself fully, your body, your mind, your energy, your boundaries, your needs. That's self-care, the whole picture. If this episode resonated with you, I want to hear from you. Share your questions, your stories, your reflections. You can submit them in written form or as a voice message by emailing letters@alottogrowthrough.com, and I read and listen to every single one. View the podcast website at alottogrowthrough.com. And if you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe and share. This podcast is available wherever you listen to podcasts. And always remember, healing isn't linear, and you're doing better than you think. I'll see you next week.